Amidst the countless versions of Morty scattered across the multiverse of Rick and Morty, a realm where the bizarre and unexpected are the norm, there exists one character who has transcended the boundaries of normalcy to become a terrifying symbol. This figure strikes fear into the hearts of both Rick C-137 and the audience, making everyone tread carefully whenever he appears. None other than the one we're talking about, Evil Morty. No longer the timid, naive, and somewhat clueless boy he once seemed, Evil Morty stands out with his ruthless nature and a razor-sharp intellect that arguably surpasses even Rick C-137. From his first appearance alongside Evil Rick, to the shocking revelation that he was the mastermind pulling the strings all along.
This Rick was being controlled remotely, puppeteered by somebody else. This is the receiver. Yeah, but where's the transmitter?
Evil Morty has planted a lingering sense of unease in the minds of viewers. Could this unusual Morty be quietly rewriting the order of the multiverse? From an unknown nobody, he rose to become the first Morty ever elected as president of the Citadel, and even teamed up with Rick C-137 and Morty Prime to take down the ultimate villain, Rick Prime. What exactly makes Evil Morty so special? And can an unconventional Morty truly break free from Rick's shadow and carve out his own destiny? Let's dive deep into the character and personality of Evil Morty together. Evil Morty's past began in a tragic and haunting way. Revealed in Season 7, Episode 5, he was originally just a regular Morty like countless others across the multiverse. Constantly mistreated and dragged into reckless adventures by his own Rick.
I'm tired of you weaponizing this half-assed threat. You want out, then fucking quit!
The injustice and pain that had been building up for so long finally pushed him to the edge, forcing him to choose a path of rebellion. One fateful day, Evil Morty took advantage of Evil Rick being drunk, secretly implanting a control device into Rick's brain and hiding it beneath a mysterious black eye patch. That moment marked a major turning point in the life of a Morty. From a passive, resigned kid, he transformed into a defiant rebel. Not only breaking free from his dependence on Rick, but also turning Rick into a mindless puppet, a mere tool for his grand revenge scheme down the line.
Kill me! Do it! Do it!
True to the name Evil Morty, it's not just about his ruthless actions, but also a brand name that the Rick and Morty community has given to a Morty who dared to rise against the order established by Rick. His ambition to escape the central finite curve, a barrier dividing universes where Rick is always the smartest, turned Evil Morty into a character that stands in opposition to the entire system. He's not just a dictator who once had complete control over the Citadel, but also a symbol of rebellion. A Morty among countless Mortys across the multiverse who dared to break free from the massive shadow cast by Rick Sanchez. Evil Morty possesses an appearance that, at first glance, seems no different from any ordinary Morty. However, this very ordinariness serves as the perfect disguise, allowing him to blend seamlessly into the crowd. The most recognizable detail, and the symbol of Evil Morty, is the black eye patch covering his right eye, concealing the control device he once used to turn his Rick into a puppet. In Season 3, Episode 7, titled The Ricklantis Mix-Up, Evil Morty steps into the spotlight during his campaign for president of the Citadel. He dons a sharp gray suit, a crisp white shirt, and a blue tie, exuding a mature and composed demeanor that starkly contrasts the usual naivety seen in other Mortys. Then, in Season 5, Episode 10, Rick Murray Jack, Evil Morty switches up his style again, sporting a black t-shirt with a logo and dark pants before suiting up in a yellow astronaut outfit to execute his plan to destroy the central finite curve. This constant transformation highlights how Evil Morty's appearance is never fixed, adapting fluidly to suit his goals and roles. From an anonymous rebel to a commanding leader, and finally to a cold calculating warrior seeking freedom. Yet through it all, the piercing gaze behind his eye patch remains the defining image of who he is. A Morty unlike any other, shrouded in mystery and brimming with danger. The yearning for freedom and rebellion is the very essence that defines Evil Morty, turning him into a standout symbol among the countless Mortys across the multiverse. Born into an endless loop where Mortys exist solely for one purpose.
Yeah, it's gotta be that way. You're a camouflage.
Camouflage? What are you talking about, Rick?
He quickly recognized the profound injustice of this system. While most Mortys choose to endure, forgive, and continue living under Rick's oppressive shadow, Evil Morty nurtured within himself a fierce flame of resistance. He doesn't just want to break free from Rick's control, he wants to dismantle the entire order established by the Ricks, a hierarchy where Rick is always number one. Hacking the portal gun, manipulating Evil Rick, orchestrating an election, and ultimately destroying the central finite curve weren't merely power plays, they were steps in his journey toward absolute freedom. A world where no one dictates that Morty must always be inferior to Rick. The so-called evil in his name is, in truth, a reflection of his difference. His audacity to rise up against the fate the multiverse has preordained for all Mortys. It's this very aspiration that makes Evil Morty one of the rare characters in the series bold enough to shatter the chains, reject the toxic cycle, and seek a new horizon where he can truly take control of his own destiny.
Seriously though? Fuck you. Don't come after me. It won't go well.
The cold and ruthless personality of Evil Morty is vividly showcased through every step he takes on his path to freedom. Right from the moment he rebelled against his own Rick, he didn't hesitate to get him drunk and perform surgery, turning Rick into a living puppet. It was as if he was declaring that family bonds or personal emotions had no place in his calculated schemes. In Season 1, Episode 10, titled Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind, Evil Morty's cruelty and inhumanity became even more apparent. He used thousands of Mortys as tools to mask brainwave signals, completely indifferent to the brutal torture they endured for the lives lost in the process. Later, when he ascended to the position of president of the Citadel, he mercilessly wiped out the Council of Ricks with a mere snap of his fingers, turning every dissenter into lifeless bodies floating in space. Evil Morty didn't blink an eye or show a shred of concern for the anguished screams of the Mortys or Ricks.
Rerouted, rerouted, rerouted. Rerouted, rerouted, rerouted.
Because to him, the lives of others are just pawns in a massive chess game to achieve his goals. The cold-blooded nature creates a complete distinction. Evil Morty never acts out of impulsive hatred, but always has long-term schemes planned in advance. It's this ruthless and unyielding rationality that enables him to dare to do things no other Morty could ever conceive. From destroying the Citadel to completely obliterating the Central Finite Curve, he's willing to sacrifice countless innocent lives in exchange for a shot at absolute freedom for himself. Evil Morty is also a master of schemes and psychological games, a character who always knows how to conceal his true nature to manipulate everything according to his will. Right from his first appearance in Season 1, Episode 10, he used a black eye patch to transform himself into the seemingly harmless eye patch Morty, hiding the truth that he was the one controlling Evil Rick. That cunning was taken to the next level in Season 3, Episode 7, titled The Ricklantis Mix-Up. He disguised himself as Candidate Morty, an apparently insignificant candidate, dismissed by the Ricks on the council. Yet, with a passionate speech, he managed to ignite the latent anger within the crowd, turning himself into the center of attention and winning in a spectacular fashion. When he rose to the position of president of the Citadel, Evil Morty continued to showcase his cunning and sophisticated tactics by eliminating every opponent who dared to stand against him. Using his authority, he introduced new laws while establishing an absolute regime that no one could overthrow.
Tonight, I do that thing I want to do. With the curve thing.
Even in confrontations with Rick C-137 or Rick Prime, Evil Morty always knew how to feign weakness, playing the role of an innocent, clueless Morty to deceive his adversaries before striking with a devastating blow at the critical moment. To him, psychological manipulation wasn't just a survival skill, it was a powerful weapon that allowed him to turn the inherent vulnerabilities of being a Morty into the perfect shield, concealing his sinister ambitions and methodically advancing his plan to reshape the universe. Evil Morty is a clear embodiment of someone who is both pragmatic and deeply lonely, a person who only trusts in his own strength and calculations. While he despises Rick for his authoritarianism and arrogance, he looks down on Morty for his weakness and tendency to forgive too easily.
And I'm leaving it. That's what makes me evil. Being sick of him. If you've ever been sick of him, you've been evil too.
Throughout his journey, we rarely see Evil Morty seeking genuine allies or placing trust in anyone other than himself. Even when he does collaborate with Rick C-137 and Morty Prime in the episode Unmortwritten, he merely views it as a temporary means to achieve his personal goals, never as a heartfelt connection. To him, every relationship has a utility, and once that utility runs out, the relationship ceases to exist.
Seriously though? Fuck you. Don't come after me. It won't go well.
Evil Morty's pragmatism is also evident in the way he approaches power. He doesn't let emotions cloud his judgment, nor does he allow hatred to obscure his reasoning. Instead, he always calculates and carefully weighs decisions for long-term benefits.
Now is the time for action.
Even when he had the Omega device in his possession, Evil Morty refused to keep it for himself, because he understood that it would eventually only bring trouble and burdens to whoever wielded it. These actions are what made Evil Morty an utterly solitary figure. He rejected both Rick and Morty, choosing a path of freedom entirely his own in a strange, distant place, far removed from the endless cycle he had grown to despise. The image of evil Morty stepping into an infinite void after destroying the central finite curve is a striking testament to this, a character willing to sacrifice everything, emotions, allies, even an entire civilization, just to live on his own terms. Evil Morty is remembered not just for his ruthlessness or thirst for freedom, but also for his extraordinary intelligence, a strategic genius with a systematic mindset that surpasses any other Morty. Even when he was just an ordinary Morty, he quickly saw through the injustice in the Rick and Morty dynamic and began planning his escape from that oppressive grip. This wasn't some impulsive act, but rather the opening move in a meticulously calculated long-term strategy. He knew how to keep a low profile, pretending to be a weak and average Morty, masking his sharp intellect while slowly orchestrating a grand chess game behind the scenes. At the Citadel, Evil Morty cleverly crafted the image of a candidate Morty who was underestimated, only to suddenly flip the script with a rousing speech that rallied the crowd and boldly ascended to the highest position of power. But he didn't stop there. He went on to restructure the entire Citadel system, which the Ricks had painstakingly built, turning it into a tool to construct the Dimensional Drive, a machine powerful enough to pierce through the central finite curve.
About politics. About order. Brotherhood. Power. But speeches are for campaigning. Now is the time for action.
Evil Morty's genius doesn't lie in individual intentions, but in his ability to see the big picture, design the rules of the game, exploit resources, and turn them into leverage for his ultimate goal. He's often compared to a cosmic-level chess player, where every move, every pawn sacrificed, is meticulously calculated. One of the most striking aspects of Evil Morty's intelligence is his masterful hacking skills, the very thing that transformed him from a seemingly weak Morty into a multiverse-wide threat. Right from his first appearance, he left audiences stunned by successfully hacking Rick C-137's portal gun, a tool considered untouchable by all Ricks, forcing Rick into a defensive position. Evil Morty didn't stop at merely altering the destination. He went further by uploading Rick's travel history to the Citadel system, cleverly fabricating a false crime scene to pin all the murders of Rick's and Morty's on C-137. This move was both audacious and cunning, showcasing his ability to infiltrate and manipulate the technological infrastructure of the smartest minds in the universe. The pinnacle of his hacking prowess was further solidified when Evil Morty managed to infiltrate Rick Prime's brain and disable all hidden backups, ensuring his enemy could never resurrect again, a strategy designed to completely annihilate his foe at the root. Evil Morty isn't just a master at hacking technology, he also has the ability to read and extract neural data from other people. Like when he downloaded the memories of Rick C-137 to uncover the truth about the central finite curve, or copy the Omega device straight from Rick Prime's brain. These actions show that Evil Morty isn't just skilled at using existing tech, but he's also capable of reverse engineering and reprogramming systems that were designed to be beyond Morty's reach. If Rick is the one who created the rules of the game, then Evil Morty is the only one badass enough to break those rules and rewrite them to his own liking. It's a testament to a level of intellect that's far beyond the naive Morty stereotype the Citadel tried to impose. Evil Morty possesses a natural talent for optimizing risks and benefits in every decision, a rare quality even among C-137 or Rick Prime. Unlike the impulsiveness or obsession with revenge seen in Rick C-137, Evil Morty meticulously considers every move, choosing the path that minimizes personal losses while ensuring long-term gains.
And I'm leaving it. That's what makes me evil. Being sick of him.
A prime example is when he defeated Rick Prime and obtained the blueprint for the Omega device. He didn't succumb to the temptation of absolute power, but calmly refused to use it recklessly for a very clear reason. He understood that the cost of such destruction would only bring complications, hindering his true goal of achieving a peaceful life outside the central finite curve. This level-headedness was also evident during his leadership of the Citadel. Instead of plunging into resource-draining wars, Evil Morty opted for political maneuvers to swiftly eliminate opposition and restructure the system in a way that best served his plans. Evil Morty's mindset never prioritizes emotions. Instead, it always focuses on solving the equation to maximize benefits. Whatever needs to be sacrificed will be discarded, and anything that causes long-term trouble will never be utilized.
I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I know. That's why you're fired.
This genius-level ability to calculate makes Evil Morty one of the most formidable strategic minds in the Rick and Morty multiverse. One of the most striking manifestations of Evil Morty's powers lies in his mastery of technology and the construction of a cosmic infrastructure. something even the most brilliant Ricks have never achieved. From creating neural-controlled devices to turn Rick into a puppet, to hacking the portal gun and reprogramming it to his liking, Evil Morty has proven that he not only knows how to use technology, but also has the capability to break down and rebuild inventions that were once considered the exclusive domain of Rick. The pinnacle of his accomplishments is transforming the entire Citadel into a colossal dimensional drive and using blood energy from the Operation Phoenix clones to carve a path through the central finite curve. This isn't just an invention, it's a mind-blowing cosmic project. It requires organizational skills, resource exploitation, and infrastructure synchronization on multiple levels, something that even Rixie-137, after witnessing it, had to be in awe of. Evil Morty doesn't stop there. He's got his own unique golden portal gun, a one-of-a-kind tool that lets him travel freely outside the system created by the Ricks. It's a testament to his complete freedom in navigating and controlling space across the multiverse. All these abilities have transformed him from just an ordinary Morty into someone powerful enough to reshape the very structure of the multiverse, breaking the limits imposed by the Ricks. In doing so, he opens the door to a future where he alone holds the reign and calls the shots. Talking about Evil Morty's power, we can't overlook his physical strength and the arsenal of weapons he equips himself with in every combat scenario. From the time he was still lurking in the shadows of the Citadel, Evil Morty proved himself to not just be a cunning schemer, but also someone ready to arm his body and weaponry with the most advanced technologies to face off directly against the Ricks. In Season 4, Episode 6, titled Never Ricking Morty, we see Evil Morty equipped with a mechanical arm integrated with heavy firepower, a regal red cloak, and a trident-shaped weapon, all of which create the image of an unstoppable warrior. Furthermore, in Season 7, Episode 5, titled Unmortrickin', during the final showdown with Rick Prime, Evil Morty showcases his ability to develop robotic arms from his back, use a stun gun embedded in his fingers, and wield a variety of melee and ranged weapons to take on extremely dangerous opponents. Thanks to this, Evil Morty manages to hold his ground against Rick Prime, and defeating numerous decoy robots that Rixie-137 himself struggles to deal with. By seamlessly combining his inherent physical strength with advanced weaponry and gear, Evil Morty emerges as a nearly invincible force. Not only possessing a genius-level intellect, but also being a warrior capable of going toe-to-toe with the most powerful Ricks, solidifying his unique position in the Rick and Morty universe.
Seriously though? Fuck you. Don't come after me. It won't go well.
When Rick Prime falls, the story of Evil Morty doesn't close like a triumphant victory. It unveils a chilling truth about the cost of freedom. At his most powerful moment, Evil Morty chooses not to activate the destructive device, leaving viewers stunned. He prioritizes living peacefully outside the central finite curve over any desire for revenge or flaunting his strength. For the first time, Evil Morty openly acknowledges that Rixie-137 is different from the rest, yet he keeps his distance, understanding that every alliance ultimately becomes a chain that binds freedom. At the final rung, Evil Morty remains pragmatic and solitary. He walks away with the Omega device blueprint in hand, a warning potent enough to shake all Ricks to their core. The Rick experiment could end at any moment if anyone dares to drag him back into the old cycle, and that's the essence of Evil Morty. A Morty ruthless enough to take control of his own fate, smart enough to rewrite the rules, and clear-headed enough to realize that true freedom isn't about defeating others. It's about no longer letting them decide who you're going to be.